One day we're going to look back and remember when and where we were when we first saw Dune Part 2. It's one of those films that sticks with you for a very long time and makes you wonder, what is next? It's that feeling where the last thing you want to do is leave the theater. So you sit speechless looking at every last name that rolls across the screen until the credits completely end and the lights turn on. But at the same time, you've never been more inspired to create something for yourself. I can only think of a handful of films that have made me feel this way, and every single one was special. It is not an everyday thing to get emotional solely because the film is so stunning. But somehow, this film fully accomplished that. To set the stage, this film has far and away been the most anticipated film of 2024. After getting pushed back 4 months due to the Actors Guild strike, it came in riding tremendous momentum after the first entry was released in 2021. On top of that, it brought back and added to probably one of the greatest cast and crew to ever work on a single movie. Off the top of my head, only The Fellowship of the Ring and Oppenheimer rival in comparison. Because of this, every single aspect of the film is peak excellence and a work of art. Everyone knows that this was shot in the sands of Tunisia or Abu Dhabi, but the suspension of disbelief is so strong that you completely buy into the fact that this is shot in the dunes of Arrakis. Despite being set in a literal sandbox for most of the film, the plot still demands your full attention. And it doesn't need to get more adventurous in its scenery, because the characters and the story are interesting just as they are. The Freemen may seem like simple people as they're lounging under their sunshades, but they have just as good of a story as anyone. And sometimes all a character needs is a belief in something bigger than themselves. In this case, paradise for their people. As far as character development goes, no one goes through the transformation that Paul Atreides goes through, for better or for worse. Burdened by the responsibility that is breathing down his neck at every moment, he has no time for the Peter Parker stuff, such as prioritizing Chani. He knows with every decision he makes, he is going to lose in some way or another. This causes him to make those choices out of fear, which in turn brings out the arrogance that he was born out of. When people continually expect greatness from you, you have two choices. You can act out of pride, or you can cave into the unhealthy pressure that has been set on you. When you put these choices in front of someone as relatable and unstable as Paul Atreides, he can't seem to make a choice, which then leads him down the road of chaos, power, and relational destruction. And this effect has a massive impact on his existing relationships with Chani and with his mother. All that being said, this is where Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya come of age and are seen for who they are now and not for the roles they played in their childhood. You know the story's good when you haven't even got to the performance of Austin Butler, who as an actor still reeks of Elvis, but is great nonetheless. His element of unpredictability and lack of any moral boundaries are what drives his character's impact. When Butler is on the screen, anything can happen, much like Heath Ledger's Joker. His performance always has you on the edge of your seat, because you know at any moment he could snap. However, his character use was not without flaw. Due to him dying near the end of the movie, it feels like an early exit for his character that has so much potential. Now I'm sure that's just how his character is written in the book, and it will make sense in the next movie, but for right now, it feels disappointing. Now finally, for the reason I'm actually here, to talk about the genius minds of Denny, Greg Fraser, and Hans Zimmer. Yes, every department brought their A game, but these three artists are the best in their line of work right now, and maybe even all time. Visually, Greg and Denny take a stunning approach to scale, color, and composition. Denny is one of those directors that I feel like puts a huge emphasis on cinematography, and he only works with the best. Whether it be shot by Greg Fraser or Roger Deakins that shot Sicario, Prisoners, and Blade Runner 2049. The images those two cinematographers create have a way of ingraining themselves in our mind, no matter the setting. But for Dune Part 2, the bar was raised significantly higher than it's ever been set before. The ships, the structures, and the sandworms all feel larger than life and threatening even outside of the frame. And one of the boldest choices they make is shooting the entire gladiator scene in black and white to spice it up. And you add this to the composition and the use of silhouettes, and the recipe is too good to be true. Musically, once again, Hans Zimmer produced a score that won't soon be forgotten. The tune is somehow one with Arrakis. It's hidden in the wind and the sand until its charming melody graces your ears, but it is also entirely capable to set the tension of the battle against the House of Harkonnen. The score is almost a character in the film. It is every bit as important, as it tells the story and brings context to the world of Dune. To put a bow on this one, if you can, go see it in IMAX, go see it in Dolby. Don't wait for it to stream, just go see it. Be sure to follow Backseat Visuals and the Depths of Cinema podcast on Instagram and YouTube.